with finding a comfortable seated position. Just making sure you feel you can create space in the lower back and a little bit of space here around the belly. So we've got the space for the belly to really expand with the breath. So ideally we're looking for knees level with hips or a little bit lower. And then maybe rolling the shoulders, softening the shoulders and finding that length. And I'm going to mention kind of rooting a little bit today, a kind of root chakra is Muladhara. So we have these energy points through the body and the root chakra is right down at the base and the sacrum. And it's a sense of earthing down. And all I mean really by that is a sense of grounding through the sitting bones and a lift from the earth and that contact you have with the props you're sitting on. So a real element of a lift through and then all the way to the crown of the head. So thinking about a stable, strong, grounding base. Maybe you're able to find a little bit more space in the sternum, just lifting without overarching the back, and the hands can rest wherever feels comfortable for you, palms face down or face up. Maybe just noticing how much effort is needed as we come to a seated position in yoga. Softening the gaze or closing your eyes. Beginning to breathe in and out through the nose. Just allow the jaw to soften, the tongue to rest in the lower part of the jaw. Beginning to notice where the breath's moving to. And if the breath is higher in the chest, encouraging on the inhalation, the belly to rise, and can help to bring the hands to the belly. So using that contact, sense of touch as we breathe in to expand the belly, and as we breathe out to draw the belly towards the spine. So coming into our conscious breathing, a pranayama, complete yogic breath. Noticing if this is coming easily for you today or if it feels a little bit more of an effort. Maybe it's just not happening. So without judgment, just noticing. Our bodies feel so different on different days. And maybe as you breathe out and the navel moves towards the spine, there's a gentle pulling up of the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor will naturally engage as we breathe out and bring the navel towards the spine, but maybe you just engage it a little bit more. So we call this Mula Bandha, one of the locks in the body, at the base of the spine. It's almost a sense of when you have a full bladder and just holding on for a little bit longer, a gentle pulling up, pulling in. Maybe beginning to notice the breath getting a little bit softer, a little bit longer. Maybe the belly feels a little freer, able to expand and draw back a little easier compared to a few minutes ago. And if you'd like to come into a ratio breath, so a version of Samavitri, breathing in for 4 and breathing out for 6. So counting your own count, working with your own breathing rhythm. So breathing in, expanding the belly to a count of 4. And breathing out, drawing the belly towards the spine, engaging the pelvic floor if that's possible, as you breathe out for 6. Quite a lot going on. If any element of it feels a bit too much, letting it go. So we're simply making our exhalation a little bit longer than the inhalation. So this is the part of the breath we know supports the rest and digest side of the nervous system. So beginning to support the body systems that work at optimum levels when we're resting. Taking 3 more breaths if you're continuing with the ratio breathing like this. And releasing the hands if they were on the belly. Allowing the shoulders to soften. And if your eyes are closed, gently tucking the chin, opening the eyes, and bringing the head back to center. We'll come gently through some twists through the neck and the spine, beginning with the head. So taking a gaze over our right shoulder. Just soft movements to begin with so we can work out what's happening with the neck, to see how it feels. Slowly through center and looking towards the left-hand side. Back through center. We're going to take that twist again, but without using the hand. So I like to have my hands up because it's too tempting to use my hands to really pull myself around. So just making sure the hands can rest in the lap or a little bit higher, soft out the way, shoulders soft. Breathing in, breathing out and looking towards the right hand side, but going just that little bit further if that feels okay. So starting to work into the lumbar spine, even getting into the thoracic spine a little now. So the lower and the mid back. Slowly coming back to center. Inhaling. Exhaling, turning towards the left-hand side. And slowly making your way back to center. Releasing the hands if they're lifted. And this time we're actually going to use the hands to go a little bit further. So the left hand's coming to the right knee, right hand either about hip sort of level or behind you. And I like to make spider hands, sort of fingertips, but a sense of being able to use the hand behind you to lift a little bit more through the spine, and the hand that's in contact with your knee to be able to take you a little bit further. But again, listening to your body, just encouraging a bit more of a twist, but only if it feels okay. So there's no strain, there's no pain. I've got a slightly longer twist now, working from the base all the way to the crown of the head, and maybe you even take the gaze a little bit further. Slowly coming back through center, and we'll take that on the other side. So right hand coming to left knee, softening the shoulders, making sure you've got a little bit of contact with the floor or the mat with your left hand so you can lift through the spine. And then we're taking the gaze a little further if that feels okay. So you may find that one side is a lot tighter or stiffer than the other. It's normal, just trying to wake up the spine. And as we twist, we create a little bit of space between each vertebrae. So we're starting to massage the spine, bring mobility and flexibility. And slowly coming back to center. Maybe taking a couple of shoulder rolls, exaggerated shoulder rolls, so all the way up towards the ears, all the way back and down, and in the other direction. And if you're sitting cross-legged, changing the cross of the legs. If you want to change the position you're seated in, just coming to kneeling or just moving. We're going to do a waking up the breath and just really start to wake up the muscles around the rib cage so we can take a slightly fuller breath. Right hand towards the floor, and we're leaning towards the right hand side. Doesn't need to be any weight in the hand. It's just there as a kind of very gentle support, making sure we're still grounded. So the idea of that grounding, earthing through the root, we're still, our glutes, our sitting bones are still in contact with the props we're sitting on, we're using. Coming as far as you feel you want to. You may want to go a little further. You can start to work into the left hip. And then maybe you take the left hand up and over, keeping a really soft elbow as we begin to wake up the body, bring movement to the body. On the next inhalation, coming back to center, and then we'll move to the other side. So this time the left hand's coming down towards the mat and we're leaning towards the left. Taking a moment there, working out what's happening on this right hand side. And then maybe you go a little bit further. Know that if you go too far, it feels too strong, just coming back, but also making sure we're grounded through the sitting bones and the glutes. Working into the intercostal muscles here, muscles around the rib cage. And then maybe you take the right hand up and over, having a really soft bend in the elbow. Is there any tightness or pain in the shoulders? Softening the hand, releasing the hand back down. So in the mornings, we're a little bit tighter because we've slept all night. We haven't had much movement. Afternoons and evenings, depending on what we've been doing, whether it's exercise or activity or actually just been sitting a lot, we can still be quite stiff. So being mindful as we come through these movements. And slowly coming back to center. We'll come into a gentle stretch at the front and the back of the body. I'm just going to change position so you can see me. Clasping the hands or taking hold of an opposite wrist and bringing the shoulders forwards, the chin towards the chest. So it's almost like we're trying to pull the shoulder blades together. Sorry, apart, I should say, shoulder blades apart. Slowly coming up to center and taking the hands behind us And either again holding an opposite wrist or clasping the hands. And we're bringing the chest up and through towards the sky. The gaze can follow if the neck's happy to do that. Just being mindful not to throw the head back. And slowly releasing the head and the neck. We'll move any props out the way. We're slowly going to make our way up to standing. And you may want to hold on to something. We're just going to take a very gentle stretch. So instead of our kneeling and lifting the knee stretch, to stretch the tops of the feet, having a bend in the right knee, and then I'm resting the left toes on the floor on the mat and just gently pushing into the mat through the front of the foot. So we're looking to create a bit of a stretch and space around the front or top of the left foot, being gentle here. Similar effect as to when we're kneeling and trying to lift the knees coming in and out. Releasing that foot and coming to the other side. So again, if you've got some support, holding on to some support, making sure there's a softness in the left knee, and then gently placing the right toes on the mat, on the floor. And as you sort of bend in and apply a little bit more pressure to the top of the right foot, feeling a little bit of a stretch or some space being created around the right ankle as well. There's no right or wrong way to feel any of these movements or shapes we make with our body. We're all going to feel them quite differently. And slowly releasing that. Bring a little bit of balance while we work through the feet and the ankles. So I'm going to take my hands onto my hips, soften the knees. You may want to hold onto a chair or a wall here. And we're going to lift the right foot, have a strong bend in the left leg, left toes are pointing forwards, and we're simply pointing and flexing the right foot. And this is where we want to think about our base, our core again. So gently drawing in through the core. Transverse abdominal, so it's imagining we're trying to get our hip bones together. And Mula Bandha, we talk about Mula Bandha in yoga, but that pelvic floor lift. So just a little bit there to help us balance. You may want to bring some circles to the ankle. And releasing that leg down, maybe giving the knees a little wobble. And then the right foot is being planted down, knee soft, and bringing the left leg up and bringing some movement to the foot and the ankle here. And thinking again about engaging the core muscles. So not overly worried about a beautiful balance at this point, just bringing some movement to the feet, some circling in one direction and then the other. And slowly releasing that leg down. Coming back to feet parallel, hip distance or a little bit wider. We're going to just do some more side stretching through the body. Have the softness in the knees, feet are very much parallel, lifting the toes, spreading the toes, and finding a sort of sense of grounding. So now we're standing, the grounding's coming through the soles of the feet. So feeling that sense of grounding base, stable base, and bringing the hands towards the sides of the body. Soft shoulders, hands relaxed. And we're slowly going to bend towards the right hand side. Trying to keep the space here in the shoulders. So we've woken up this whole area. So hopefully we're feeling like we've got a bit more space for the breath. Hands quite heavy, relaxed. And then maybe you take the left hand up and over. Again, still having a softness in the elbow. If there's any pain or tightness in the shoulder, releasing that side. Coming back through center. Take the time to reset, and then gently a side bend towards the left hand side. And notice the difference between the two sides. So does one feel a little bit tight? It'll be your habitual side, the side that you use a little bit more. Once you've kind of taken stock of that side, maybe bring the right hand up and over. Again, keeping a softness in the elbows. We're avoiding locking any joints, and space all the way across the chest for the breath. And very slowly making your way back up to standing. We'll come into just 4 rounds of cat-cow, standing cat-cow. So feet still hip distance or a little bit wider, so we have a nice stable base, softness in the knees. Rolling the shoulders up, back and down, finding length through the body. As we breathe in, palms facing in front and looking up towards the sky. Only if the neck's happy, you're welcome to tuck the chin. Breathing out, palms facing away from us, tucking the chin, looking towards the floor. So making this as small or as large as you want, breathing in to open up the chest and breathing out to kind of close the chest and open the back of the body. Breathing in, shoulder blades coming together. Breathing out, shoulder blades coming apart. One more, taking your time, working with your breath. Slowly coming back to our standing position. We're going to come into a forward fold, Uttanasana, first forward fold. Feet can be together or hip distance apart. Just take a moment to decide what feels best for you. Always a softness in the knees, breathing in to reach up, breathing out to fold forwards, leading with the heart. And as you come into Uttanasana, bend the knees as much as you need to. Maybe the fingertips skim the floor. Maybe you're able to hold on to opposite elbows and come into dangling. Can you tuck the chin just a little to bring some length to the back of the neck? And the sitting bones are reaching up towards the sky. So even if the knees are in a strong bend, we know we can reach the sitting bones up and create some more space on the back of the legs. Softening the shoulders away from the ears. And maybe you take a moment to rock into the heels and then gently rock into the toes. It's a very small, gentle, kind of swaying movement, but backwards and forwards. And then eventually find yourself on that central point where the weight feels even across both feet. Breathing. On the next inhalation, bending into the knees as much as you can, very slowly coming up to standing because we've been down for a little while, reaching up towards the sky, reaching up, reaching up, reaching up, and then releasing the hands back down to the sides of the body. So starting to wake up the body, we'll come into a couple of half sun salutes to wake up the back of the legs before we come into a flow. So feet together or hip distance apart. Again, a softness in the knees. And as we breathe in, we'll raise the arms. Breathing out, folding forwards. Breathing in, hands come to shins. Make it quite high if you can, towards the knees, shoulders away from ears. We're going to take a moment here and breathe into the rib cage. Breathe into the lungs. And just notice the lungs expanding with the rib cage in all directions in this position. On the next exhalation, folding forwards. Breathing in to reach up towards the sky and breathing out to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. And we'll come through that one more time. As we breathe in, we're reaching up. Breathing out to fold forwards. Breathing in into our flat back, we're going to take a really long, slow inhalation, exhalation. It's like we're stretching the rib cage, expanding the lungs, and slowly folding forwards. On the next inhalation, bending to the knees, reaching up towards the sky, and breathing out to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. Taking any movement you feel the body needs just after that flowing exercise. And we're going to come into a sun salutation, very gentle, very slow, and come into a little bit of flow. So creating a bit of warmth in the body, hopefully this morning. Softening the shoulders, finding our position, our starting position for our flow. Feet can be together, hip distance apart. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, folding forwards. As we breathe in, the hands come to shins, shoulders away from ears. Breathing out to fold forwards. Right foot stepping back, right knee dropping. So coming into our lunge position, left knee over left ankle, and they're coming into a twist. So the right hand can either be flat on the floor in a very soft fist. Maybe you build some height with a block. That can help as well. And we're turning towards the left hand side and lifting the right hand, the left hand, palm facing away from you. If there's any tightness in the shoulders, just dropping the arm, keeping that openness in the chest. Slowly coming back to center. And we're going to take our time to step back into plank. So finding your plank, it might be on knees or toes, making sure the hands are really spread. So we really want to spread the fingers, really stable base through the hands. Hands are roughly under shoulders, inner elbows pointing in towards each other, shoulders moving away from the ears. Thinking again about Mula Bandha, so our pelvic floor lift, transverse abdominals, really thinking about engaging our base there. Dropping down to the knees, chest, chin, and into a baby cobra. Just a small cobra to begin with this morning. Hands really still spread, elbows hugging the rib cage. On the next exhalation, folding down. First downward facing dog, so hands mid-chest, spreading fingers, tucking toes. And maybe you're bringing some movement to this first downward dog. So pedaling the knees. Thinking about as you push into the hands, moving the torso, so the belly towards the thighs. Sitting bones, the highest point of your triangle. This sort of shape we're making with the body. And making sure the weight distribution is even through the fingers, the hands. There's a space for the neck, space for the shoulders. From here, dropping down to the knees, we're going to step the right foot forwards and come into a twist on the other side. So either placing the hand down, soft fist, or maybe you have a block or some height you can use. And then we're reaching up through the right hand, palm facing away. Making sure the right knee is still over or directly above the right ankle. And if there's any tightness in the shoulder, knowing you can drop the arm behind the back. Slowly making your way back to our soft Anjaneyasana. And then we're going to step the left foot forwards or become parallel with the right into a forward fold. Bending into the knees, powering through the feet, reaching up towards the sky and bringing the hands back down to the sides of the body. Resetting the feet, just making sure the toes are spread. Got that beautiful stable base. Fingertips reaching down towards the earth. Breathing in, reaching up. Breathing out, folding forwards, leading with the heart. Breathing in, hands to shins, shoulders away from ears. And breathing out to fold forwards. Bending into the knees, left foot stepping back, left knee dropping down, making sure our right knee is safe. We're coming into a twist here. So the left hand's coming down, fist, hand, prop, whatever you're using, however you want to come into this shape, twisting towards the right hand side, right hand lifts, palm facing away. Slowly bringing the right hand back to center, stepping into your plank pose, your plank shape, spreading the hands. If you're coming onto toes, imagining there's a line from the crown of the head to the heels. Softening the shoulders away from the ears. And thinking about Mula Bandha again. So the root lock, pelvic floor, transverse abdominals. Gently dropping down to knees, chest and chin, and coming into cobra. Elbows stay hugging into the rib cage. And just taking a moment, work out how the back's feeling. Maybe you make it a little bit stronger, a little bit higher. Soften the shoulders, lift the chest through. As we breathe out, folding forwards, downward facing dog, or maybe extended child's pose. Taking time to set the hands up, spreading the fingers. If you're drawn to bringing movement to the legs a little bit more, finding a bit more space, please do. But see if you can just find a moment in stillness. Notice how it feels to come into stillness and downward dog. As you push into the hands, the belly's moving towards the thighs. Maybe you're able to tuck the chin a little to bring some space to the back of the neck. Thinking about the rotation through the arms, the wrists. So internal rotation in the wrists, external in the shoulders. Shoulders are moving away from the ears, away from the neck. Gently, slowly dropping down to the knees. Left foot sweeping forwards. Take your time to get there. And we're twisting on the other side. So this time the right hand's going to be grounded. Soft fist or prop to help lift the chest. And then we're turning towards the left hand side, palm facing away. Keeping the shoulders moving away from the ears, the chest open. Always the option to drop the hand behind the back. And on the next exhalation, coming back through center, we're bringing the right foot to meet to become parallel with the left into our forward fold. Bending into the knees, breathing in, reaching up towards the sky, and breathing out to bring the hands back down to the sides of the body. We're going to slowly make our way into dancer pose, but a couple of warm-ups first, because I'm going to find some space in the front of the thighs. So I'm going to use my wall to hold on to. You may have a chair or something just to begin with. Rather than finding the balance, we'll just find some more space in the quads. So we're going to stand on our right foot to begin with, making sure the toes are pointing forward and have quite a strong bend in that right knee. And then we're looking to catch the left foot in the left hand. And if this feels a bit too much or too tight, you can have a belt, yoga belt, or a tie, men's tie, around the ankle and just hold the tie. Softness here. We're looking to encourage the left heel to the left glute, keeping that softness in the right knee. So really making sure there's no locking of knees here. Creating a bit of space in the front of the thigh before we come into stronger balance. Slowly releasing the left leg down, and we'll take that on the opposite side. So making sure we're grounding through the left foot, the left toes, finding something maybe to hold on to support you, and then reaching for the right foot. And here's where we have a softness in the left knee. Knees are almost coming together, and just trying to create a little bit more space, softness in the quads. And slowly releasing that side as well. So coming back to standing on the right leg, the body's kind of got an idea of what's going on now. We're really spreading the right toes, making sure the toes are pointing forwards. Again, a softness in the right knee to begin with. If you have some support and you'd like just to have it nearby, please do. We're catching the left leg again, or the left, foot again. And we're here. So we're into our balance now. As we stand tall through the right leg, thinking about the quads engaging, so the front of the right thigh is really helping to support us rather than us locking the knee. And then maybe you take the right hand up, reaching through the fingertips. From here, the aim is to gently push away with the left foot. So the foot is pushing into the left hand. And then maybe you fold forwards. It's always the option to come to a wall or a chair and use that to help support you. We're also trying to keep the hips level. So only come as far as you can to keep what I call the iliac crests, but both sides of the hips level. Still reaching away with the left foot. Soften the shoulders, soften the jaw, allow the tongue to rest in the lower part of the jaw. Slowly breathing in to come back up. Release the hand, gently release the foot, and bring a little bit of movement to the legs. So quite strong on the thighs, quite strong on the right foot. Really great for building bone density, bone strength as well. And balances really help us focus. They really help with concentration as well. So left foot now grounding. If you're feeling a bit wobbly, making sure you've got the support nearby. Rather than wobbling through it and actually stressing the knee, it's better to come into stillness for the body with a little bit of support. So just listening to your body, listening to your mind, taking the right hand to hold on to the right foot. Length again through the spine. So there's a lift from the sole of the left foot all the way to the crown of the head, making sure the left quads are now turned on. So they are helping the leg come to almost straight without locking the knee. And then from here, maybe you reach up through the left hand. Soften the shoulders. Always the option to come back a level. From here, pushing away with the right foot into the right hand. And maybe you start to fold forwards, looking, finding a drishti point, finding something still to look at. And as you come forwards, we want to try and keep the hips, the pelvis level. Are you able to soften the jaw, soften the shoulders, making sure you're breathing? Slowly coming back up to standing if you took the forward fold, releasing the hand, and then gently releasing the right foot. And we'll come into a very gentle, slow figure of 8 through the hips. So depending on which muscles decided to work for us or turn on, just loosening the lower back, bringing some space back to the lumbar spine. And we'll come into a wide-legged forward fold, Prasarita Padangusthasana. I think I'm going to come front on. So having a sense of width, but stability again through the feet. So coming back to the idea of earthing, grounding through the feet, and thinking about the little toe edges being parallel. So it's almost like the toes come in about 10 degrees. So external rotation of the hips there. And really thinking about length through the spine to the crown of the head. From here, we're breathing in. Breathing out, folding forwards. Check the quads are turned on as we've come into straight leg position. And maybe the hands come towards the mat. Maybe you take hold of opposite elbows. Welcome to close the eyes. This is a shape I often make when I just need a different perspective, change of view, change of perspective. An inversion as we're sort of upside down. Take a moment to notice the weight through the feet. Is it even? Are the shoulders soft? Bringing the hands to the hips. Option to come up with straight legs. If you do, making sure the quads are turned on, or gently bending into the knees and powering through the feet. And depending on how energetic you're feeling, you can either heel toe the feet together or gently jump them together. We'll come into a seated twist. You're welcome to have something to sit on if that feels better for you. And it's easy if you've got a block or a big book to sit with the corner facing forwards. So bringing a bit of space here to the lumbar spine as we sit on some height. And both feet are kind of out in front of us to begin with, softening the shoulders, finding our length. The left heel is going to come towards the right hip. And then the right leg is either going to tuck in, maybe that's enough for you here, or maybe you cross it over and come into a kind of crossed over knotted position. I haven't got a word for it, Matsyasana. So finding length again through the spine, and I'm using my hands on my knee here to really lengthen through. We're going to hug the right knee with the left hand, and we're turning towards the right hand side. The right hand's coming down towards the floor, anywhere that you feel you can reach to support length in the spine. If you feel you've got the mobility and flexibility through the body, the left elbow can come to the outside of the right knee. Palm faces away. Lord Marichasana. Finding length through the spine. And take a moment to notice if this twist feels a little bit easier than those first few twists we began with today. Slowly releasing. And we'll take the twist in the other direction. This time, the right elbow can just hook and almost hug into the left knee if that feels okay for you. Or you can use the hand on the shin. And then the left hand's coming behind a little bit further. So starting here, just working out how the body feels. And then if this feels okay, the right elbow can come to the inside of the right knee, similar to how we practice on the other side. Trying to keep the right foot grounded. And slowly coming back to center. We'll change the crossover of the leg. Stay in the legs for a moment. Allow them to find some space. And then the right heel is coming towards the left hip, somewhere in that area, that direction. And then the left foot is either just going to stay there, or maybe if the knee's okay, the foot's okay, you cross it over the knee. Using the hands, that grip there to find length through the spine. And to begin with, we're going to turn towards the left-hand side. So here I'm hooking into the knee, or holding onto the knee with the right hand to twist round towards the left-hand side. Left hand coming a little behind me to lift through the spine. And once you're there, maybe you find you're able to bring the right elbow to the outside of the left knee. Slowly coming back to center. And then we'll move to the other side. So once again, using the left hand on the left knee to find that length and twist towards the right hand side. Right hand coming down towards the floor to support us with length through the spine. And just work out for a moment how this feels, making sure it feels okay. Haven't gone too far. There's a softness in the shoulders. And then maybe you bring the left elbow to the inside of the left knee this time. Slowly releasing the hand, gently unraveling the legs wherever you are, and coming into an extended leg position. So you may want to gently bring some soft bends into the knees movement. And I'm going to stay seated on a block. You're welcome to stay on some height. We're going to come into a Dandasana, our staff pose. Feet are together, active, toes working to face up towards the sky, hands either sort of around the hip area, or maybe you take them a little further back. That can feel quite nice. You can almost engage the upper chest a little more. So just working again with your body, making sure it feels right for you. There's a lot going on. There's a lift in the chest, there's length in the spine, softness in the shoulders. Quads are turned on, feet are active, gaze is ahead, Dandasana. Maybe noticing the rooting through the sitting bones again. Now we've come back down towards the earth, towards our mats. And we worked a lot through the spine, central channel for energy. One of the main energy channels in yoga, but also central nervous system. And the key to our breath, bringing our flexibility, our mobility to the spine to support our breath. From here, we're going to breathe in and raise the arms. Breathing out to fold forward. So having a softness in the knees, imagining we're trying to get the chest towards the toes and then allowing the hands to rest on either side of the legs. So it's not about how far we go, it's very much about keeping that length in the lower back, the lumbar spine. So as we lift the heart towards the toes, you can feel the space in the lower back being created. If it feels too strong on the legs, bending into the knees. Bend the knees as much as you need to. If you know you can come a little bit further without compromising the lower back, folding forwards. And if you are able to take hold of legs, shins, or even feet, just making sure it's not a tight grip, it's a soft, light touch. Just coming to wherever you feel you can today. So often less is more, particularly for the nervous system. Starting to cool down and quieten down. On the next inhalation, slowly sliding the hands towards the body to come back up to sitting. We're going to slowly make our way down for relaxation. So just making sure you've got any extra layers you need to make sure you feel warm, blankets. And to begin with, just making some movement to release the back and the lower back. So done a lot of spinal twists today. Taking a moment to support releasing any of that. Maybe you gently draw the knees in and let them go, Apanasana. Can feel nice to bring circles to the knees as well, so you feel like you're massaging the lower back. Just making sure you take a couple in both directions if you make that shape and that movement. Taking the feet down back towards the mat. And you may want to just very gently windscreen wipe the knees. So not a full twist, but quite a wide-legged release here of the lower back. And then slowly bringing the soles of the feet together. So we're going to come into bound angle before we come into full relaxation. Just work out how the body is feeling here. So the heels can come quite close into the body. It's quite strong. You may prefer to take the feet further away from you, slightly softer. You can make this restorative, so it's a really lovely restorative yoga position to come into by taking 2 or 3 cushions or blocks or whatever you've got height-wise, so your knees can just rest on something. So if you're able to build a little tower of support, that can feel really, really nice. Wherever you are, we're just going to take a moment to breathe here. Allow the hips to soften, the inner thighs to soften. And maybe taking the hands overhead, only if that feels okay for shoulders, for the upper chest. Making a diamond shape here with the hands. And taking 3 deeper breaths into the ribcage, into the lungs. Releasing the hands, if you took them overhead, hands can rest on the belly. And taking 3 more breaths in this position here. Noticing the connection through the soles of the feet, joining both halves of the body through the feet. Now are you able to allow the glutes to soften a little bit more? Just allow the shoulders to soften. And when you've taken those 3 breaths, you're welcome to stay here for longer. Or maybe you take the hands and gently encourage the legs back together. Bring the knees in for a hug and come into the shape you would like to come into for relaxation. Release the lower back and then gently make your way into maybe Shavasana. You're welcome to come to legs up the wall. That can feel really supportive. Just finding the shape that works for you for the next few minutes. making sure you're warm. That's the key. We created quite a lot of heat through all the twists, energy building. And now the body is starting to cool down. So coming back to the idea of a rooting and a grounding. And as we lay down or lie down in the position you're in, there's a rooting and a grounding through every part of the body that's connected to the earth, to the floor, to the mat, wherever you have been practicing today. A sense of drawing energy from the earth, but knowing that our breath is also an energy that supports and nurtures our mind, our body, and our soul. So as you breathe in and out through the nose, following the breath, connecting with the breath, maybe visualizing the breath, energizing and supporting, nurturing each cell in your body. Encouraging a softness in the shoulders, softness in the jaw, allowing the tongue to rest in the lower part of the mouth. A sense of letting the earth, the ground beneath you, hold and support you as you breathe in relaxation. Bringing your awareness back into the space you're in, where you are in the room. And maybe taking some deeper breaths, sighing the breath out. Taking small, gentle movements to awaken the body. And taking your time to finally end Up on one side, your chosen side, rolling over, knees tucked, head supported by an arm. And just when you're ready, finding your way back to a seated position. Use any support you need. Encouraging softness in the shoulders and length through the spine. Maybe bringing the hands together at heart center, Anjali Mudra. Joining both halves of the body together, and both hemispheres of the brain. And take a moment again to acknowledge that earthing, that sense of grounding through the sitting bones in your seated position. Source of support, stability, and an energy center. Maybe noticing a bit of space you've created for the breath, the body, the mind. And thanking yourself for practicing yoga today. I'm going to take my hands to my forehead for kind thoughts, to my lips for kind words, and back down to my heart center for kind actions. Om Shanti.